Oh, sorry.
Hey, off-season After Dark fans, glad to welcome you here for episode 44, and this is the 1 year mark. We started the end of June last year, so we're still rolling, thankfully, and we have Terry with us today to talk UCLA football and then some other stuff that he has going on in his world that'll be exciting to talk about. So, Terry, thank you for being here. I'm just wanted to talk UCLA football. It's a team and a program I've wanted to have a guest talk with for a long time. But why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about what got you following UCLA football and where they can find you on social media and hear your stuff?
Well, thank you for having me. Really glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Did not know it was your 1 year. Congratulations with that, and I hope
Thanks.
It keeps going for years to come.
I appreciate that.
If I have to start somewhere, it's probably I was a little kid, and my parents had these two little collector's glass. Well, they'd probably be collector's glasses now. I was young, I didn't know what they were. So you had one Trojan and one with the Bruins bear, like the old Trojan head logo that you'd see from like the late 80s, early 90s. So I looked at them both. For some reason, I was just drawn to the UCLA Cup. So I did with the Trojan Cup. I threw it on the ground, and the glass broke and shattered everywhere. So I guess I didn't know my hatred was going to grow that strong that early. So
the faithful would be proud of you even today. So good work. Yeah,
I probably still do the same thing today, if anything.
Oh, I don't blame you. Yeah, no, it's a good rivalry. Yeah, I'm as a native Minnesotan, nice to see them in the Big Ten. So geographically, we were already out there with Rutgers and Maryland. So glad to get those two, and then Oregon, Washington, and the Pacific Northwest. So making the conference good. So let me ask, before we get started, let me ask you this. What would be in your time as a UCLA fan, what's your favorite moment? Do you have one?
So back in 2006, I had just come back from a deployment. So I had some money on me, and I told one of my best friends, also a UCLA fan, I told him, hey, let's go to the UCLA USC game this year. It's like, oh, I can't afford it. I'm like, don't worry, I already bought 2 tickets. So I got and it's like right in the corners to where if you look from the Goodyear blimp, we're right in the border where behind the field goal post is red on both sides and it's blue along the sideline. Okay. So it was like red and blue from above. So I'm like right on the border. So everyone to the right of me was wearing blue, and then right across the walkway, everyone's wearing red. So I'm like thinking, well, something breaks out. I'm on the front lines here.
Yeah.
So we went there, and at the time, USC was number 1 in the nation. I think their quarterback at the time was John David Booty.
Oh, year after. Okay, so a year or two after Leinart graduated. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, it was the very first year after Leinart and Bush left.
Yeah.
And I watched that game, unfortunately, while I was deployed, when they whipped up pretty good on us on the LA Coliseum. So this game, they were still number 1 in the nation. And it was just like, whatever, I'm still going to go. I don't care if they're heavily favored. I know everybody picked USC to win and possibly go on another natty run.
Yeah.
I remember it was a very low scoring game. I remember the final. Well, before I get into that, I had a full size replica helmet. I still do. It's over there in the corner.
Nice.
And I was going to bring it in because I'm thinking stuff. Well, people bring stuff in all the time. Well, they're like, oh, you can't do it. So I did. I just walked around real quick, kind of stuffed it behind my back. And my buddy's like right behind us, so it kind of blocked the view. So we were able to sneak the helmet in past security because all I did was empty my pockets and so made it in. I'm like, oh, cool. So we got to our seats. We're probably about, say, 15 rows back from the front row, right in the corner of the back of the end zone.
Good seats, yeah.
And let's see, it was a scrappy game. If anyone remembers it, it was a very scrappy game.
I just had to look up the score. Yeah, 13-9. You weren't kidding about being low scoring. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a defense. Well, I mean, the defense on both sides had the upper hand. We just somehow our quarterback wasn't the greatest. If I remember correctly, he was either from Canada or even Australia. I think it's Cowan or something.
Oh, Jacob Cowan. Is
Yes.
that who it was? Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
Jacob Cowan. He didn't always play American football, I guess. I don't know if he was like a rugby player or something. I will say he wasn't throwing very good. A lot of short passes because I don't think he had the strength. But I'll tell you what, the dude could take a hit. Because he took a hit from, I think, Ray Mayaluga. Yeah. Right when he's about to step out of bounds, he got laid out and he just popped right back up. And I'm thinking the rugby instincts kicked in there. So that played in our favor because he didn't fumble. But he did just enough to get us within field goal range. And we took the lead late in the game. It was 13-9. USC had the ball. They were starting to march. I think they got towards midfield, and it was like usually a third down or fourth down. I think it was 5 yards to go. And John David Booty dropped back to pass, and Bruce Davis, I think he's number 44, defensive end, or is Ed Crable, one of those two. They jumped up. The ball was deflected. So as he's falling down, he turned his body to catch the ball and intercept the ball, so we're able to down it for the rest of the game and that game in particular ended the 7-year losing streak we had against them.
Nice.
Which in turn started another one, but the fact that I was at the streak-ending game and that team prevented USC from going to the national championship game, that was probably my best memory up to this point.
Awesome. No, that's a good one. Yeah. When I asked that question, I thought you might say 98 when they were really good, won their first 11 games and then lost to Miami. But no, that's a really good story. Yeah.
I mean, that was a good time. But the problem is after they lost to Miami, they lost to Wisconsin for the second year in a row at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. And the other thing I tell people about that game, it's odd how because remember early in the year there was, I forget if it was a hurricane or an earthquake, but they had to delay the game. And if they had played early in the year when they were supposed to, UCLA probably would have won because Miami wasn't playing great early in the year.
Yeah.
In that season. Yeah.
But that would have been the only time I would have seen UCLA go to the national championship because I think they were number 3 ranked at the time. And I think both 1 and 2, or one of the top 2 teams in front of us, they lost their game. And then
I think it was Kansas State. They lost to Texas A&M.
Yeah. So they would have played, and I think FSU jumped us. I think it was it FSU versus Tennessee that year?
It was, 13-2 in the national title game. No, that was Oklahoma. Tennessee beat them decently in that game.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember T. Martin being – oh, hold on. All right, excuse the interruption.
No, that's okay. But
no,
we'll be all right. Tennessee beat Florida State though. But let's get a little more recent now. And I always like to rehash the recent coaching moves, and going back the last couple of years. So one of the things I'll say with UCLA, I never really was a fan of the Deshaun Foster hire. But like we had kind of talked about off camera, the problems didn't start with him either. Like there was some decline, it seemed like, going on. And I think Chip Kelly's a good coach, but it seemed like things had went stale there in the last year or two. So as someone who's, knows more about the program and follows it closer, what would you say about that?
Well, I'll say for starters, I wasn't a fan to begin with of the Chip Kelly hire.
Okay.
Now, he did have success at Oregon. The problem with that is with Oregon at the time, they weren't necessarily recruiting the biggest guys like you would see, your Texas, USC, even UCLA was recruiting big guys. So the plan that Chip Kelly had in place in Oregon, it worked because it was a very athletic, very high speed, defense, offense.
Yeah.
It worked for them. However, he was trying to bring that over to UCLA, which to me, that shows he wasn't ready to grow and evolve into something more. And I know this was after his NFL stint.
Yep.
He wasn't ready to grow into something more. So he was trying to basically force what he was doing at Oregon at UCLA, which to me you couldn't because, UCLA was still able to recruit some of the big bodies.
Yeah,
So
I think that's a good point. Yeah. And I also think part of it when he was at Oregon, the offensive things he was doing, they were ahead of their time and still, you might call it gimmicky in some ways, but by his time at UCLA, defensive coordinators were more accustomed to it and used to it. You weren't really fooling or tricking anybody as he had done at Oregon to some extent.
Yeah, and to me, he was when the game was either on the line or we really need to close the gap if we were trailing. I felt like there was no sense of urgency.
Okay.
With him. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
We fast forward now to late in the hiring Well, there was the whole agreement. They agreed to part ways. He took the OC job at Ohio State, I believe, after he left UCLA. But that was like late in the coaching carousel when everyone else already had their guy. So at this point, we basically had to settle. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if Foster was the OC at the time or if he was a positional coach.
He had left the UCLA to go be the running back coach for the Raiders, but then left there before coaching a game is what happened.
Yeah. To me, that's just like the ultimate settle.
Yeah. And that whole coaching carousel got delayed because if you remember, Ohio State had initially hired Bill O'Brien as O coordinator. Well, then the Boston College job opened late because Hafley got the DC job with the Packers. Then O'Brien left late to go to BC. Chip Kelly left late to go to Ohio State. Then this happened. So there was all kinds of stuff going on late in that, carousel. Yeah. But Foster had been with the Bruins then, yeah. Briefly went to the Raiders in the offseason, then came back to UCLA as the head coach. And not an enviable position, that went 5-7 his first year. I remember they won quite a few games late in the year, but honestly, other than that, with their 2024 season, I can't say I remember a ton about it. I remember the UCLA, they played UCLA and Oregon in the year, and that's about all I remember. So then we get to last year, and the beginning of the season really, the beginning of the season really started poorly. Now, did he get fired after the New Mexico or the Northwestern game?
New Mexico, because Northwestern was the first one for I'm trying to remember his name.
Skipper.
Yes.
Tim Skipper. Because I had a Fresno State guy on last week, and Skipper I made the point because I knew I had scheduled with you at that point, and I said, Skipper was your interim head coach. Then next week I'm having a UCLA guy on, and he was their interim head coach the year after. So
yeah. So but here's the thing though, they were actually pretty competitive in that game because those first three games, the non-conference games, you always see the camera pointed towards what's his name, Foster.
Yeah,
and he didn't look like he wanted to be there.
He didn't. No, he looked checked out.
He was there collecting a check at that point, and he just waiting to be terminated. I'm thinking stuff. Well, that was just a total waste of a hire.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I remember watching the New Mexico game when they were getting rolled, and at that point, we didn't know New Mexico was going to be as good as they were with Jason Eck, but you saw Foster, and it was just like, what are we doing here? So, but then you guys did go on that, 3-game. The Penn State game was massive, and then Michigan State on the road, and Maryland, all good wins. So, and in the state you were in, any Big Ten wins are good ones. So that, that was a positive. Then season ends. What were your thoughts? Like, as the regular season was winding down, did you think Chesney would be the guy, or were you looking at other guys as well? What was that process like for you?
So for me, he wasn't the first guy I thought of.
Okay.
I will say that. But I'm happy that, they got him, because honestly, anything would have been a major upgrade from what we were dealing with.
Yep.
Now, one of the ones I was looking at the defensive coordinator from Oregon at the time.
Oh, Lupoy.
Yep. Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, he would be great for some of those pipe. They say he was a great recruiter, which one thing I know that UCLA lacked in recent years is especially recruiting, say big Samoan guys from Hawaii.
Yeah.
Bringing them over like they used to have back then. And
he had a great track. He'd been with Saban for a long time as an assistant, was in the NFL for a number of years. But I think in the end, being a Cal alumni, that's what pulled him there. And I get that.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. So another candidate I was looking at I think it was the head coach. I couldn't remember his name. Also, like another, say, Pacific Islander guy was from BYU.
Oh, Kalani Sataki. Yep.
Yeah.
Again,
he was another one I was looking at.
He's at his alma mater now and played there, so can be tough to play those guys, yeah. But he's at back-to-back 10-win seasons at BYU. Yeah.
So they hired Chesney, and I was just like, at first I didn't know which college he was.
Oh, yeah.
But
so I had seen him play because, being Sunbelt, JMU came to Marshall last year, so I was, at the game and stuff and it was a battle until the end, but he did a good job there, and he did a good job at Holy Cross FCS before that.
Yeah. So I saw everything he was doing over there. I mean, he made the playoffs.
Yep.
I know a lot of people didn't agree with it, but to, each their own. The fact is they were given a playoff spot. Yeah. And they were showing competitiveness towards the end with Oregon.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm liking the attention the attention the school's getting after hiring him, as well as the recruits we're starting to bring in. So it's like they've had their current 2027 recruiting class is, I guess, top 10 in the nation right now. Because one of the guys, I think it's Juju Johnson. I have to look it up. He was a 5-star athlete, I believe, or 4-star athlete, but then they changed it to a 5-star. I guess with some recent ratings that they were doing. So with him going, that would be UCLA's first 5-star. So that immediately jumped them back up in the top 10 rankings.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking. Yep, 5-star. I'm looking at him right now. That's a big pickup though for them. And one thing I also think with both of their coordinators, Dean Kennedy on offense and then Colin Hitchler coming with him from JMU, I think their system will fit Nico pretty good. So I've always been a fan of his. Even at Tennessee, things went south at the end with that situation. But as a redshirt freshman, he took him to the playoffs, and then he was all right last year. I think he's a good player, and I think with that system, he'll be a good fit. But you mentioned with the recruiting, Chesney's injected life into the program. And it seems like there's a good amount of buzz around there, which was really lacking in recent years.
Oh, yeah, it definitely has. It actually feels nice, regardless what happens. I mean, I'm hoping they at least get bowl eligible this coming year, because I don't see him doing any worse, especially who his predecessor was when he was at JMU, that being, Kirk Signetti. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not expecting those same results, but I expect a lot better results than, recent years. And who knows, maybe it'll surprise me. Then I could hopefully one day actually see UCLA in a national championship game for the first time in my life.
I mean, that'd be awesome for you. Yeah. One thing with them that I noticed, in prepping for these, I always look at the schedule. They have a tough schedule. I mean, obviously in the Big Ten, you're always going to have a tough one, but you open at Cal with Lupoy, the new coach we just talked about. And then I think San Diego State's going to be one of the better G6 teams in the country with Sean Lewis. So now your Big Ten opener might be the worst team in the Big Ten. So that Purdue game, that especially being at home, hopefully you can get some of those wins and start off on a good stretch there. But
that's funny you say that, because my wife, she wants to play a joke on me. She's like, well, because she's currently going to school with Purdue, online and everything. She's like,
they have a good online program.
Yeah. So she was like, oh, maybe I should go for Purdue. I'm like, oh, maybe you should get out of the house.
Yeah, I bet that went over real well.
Yeah, she just kind of looked at me. I mean, I got Purdue stuff in support of her. But I told her, no, when it comes football time, I told her, you can root for Purdue against USC. I'll gladly wear the gear with you. But I told her, when it comes to UCLA, you already know.
I don't blame you. Yeah, no, that's good, though. But in one thing, in with me looking at all the different schools, it's tough to really focus on the off seasons and spring ball at all the schools. But with UCLA in spring ball being done and now we're in the summer, what were there any big storylines there? What's the buzz been, both coaching staff, roster wise? Anything that really jumps off the page?
Well, as far as transfers, because I've been mostly paying attention to the transfers.
Yeah. I mean, Wayne Knight at running back was a massive one.
Yeah. Wayne, that one excites me because it's been like 2 or 3 years since they've had a running back that's gone over 1,000 yards.
Okay.
Same with receivers. I'm not sure as far as the receivers who they got, but I've also noticed they got some pretty good size on the O-line coming too. I know they got a transfer from Boise State. He was part of that Boise State playoff team when Genty was there.
Hal Schmidt. Yeah, right tackle. Yeah.
And then I noticed they actually dipped into some SEC teams. Like I think there was a safety or a receiver from South Carolina. I think it's Rowe.
Yep. So I'm a South Carolina guy, Brian Rowe, and then one of the other receivers they got who probably is a little better was Aiden Mizell, and he was at Florida. He was hurt a good chunk of last year and probably missed half the season, but Mizell's a good player as well.
So yeah, I'm excited, because usually you wouldn't see us getting transfers like those before.
Yeah. And then the other one, another receiver they got, Leland Smith, was, in fact, actually he started his career at Purdue, but he was at San Jose State last year, and he's a good player too. He had pretty good number, and San Jose State's been throwing the ball all around, but he was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that. I'm especially excited for the recruiting class following. So, I mean, it looks like things on the up and up, and I hope it just continues that way.
Yeah, I was looking at there. Obviously, you had mentioned Juju Johnson. He kind of popped off the page, but there were multiple 4-stars. Jerry Outhouse, a safety out of Fort Worth. Whenever you're pulling a 4-star from Texas, you're doing something right. And then
actually, I got his info too, so he might be coming on in the future for us too.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, it's always one of my buddies does a Vandy show, and they'll get recruits on, and people love it. So that'll be
what's his name?
To hear from him. Corey Burton is his name. He does Locked On Vandy, and then he's on our group SEC After Dark.
So we actually have a Vandy guy of our own. His name's Chris Coolenhold.
Okay.
So if you watch the Golden Broom podcast, if you ever get a chance, you'll see he's actually the co-host with me.
Gotcha. Right. Okay. Yeah. I can picture his face now.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, that recruiting class, I mean, yeah, like you said, right now they're ranked 4th in the Big Ten. So, in the Big Ten and SEC, you're just dominating those rankings. So that's definitely a step in the right direction. Hopefully they can continue that and, beef up the trenches. Defensive wise too, I noticed they brought in a lot of transfers, especially D-line. They lost almost everybody, but multiple guys from JMU came with, and then they got a Rutgers, Texas Tech guy. and they'll be a 4-3 guy. So Hitchler, their D coordinator, was been at multiple big programs, but he was at Alabama before going to JMU, and then Wisconsin and Cincinnati before that. So been with Luke Fickell for a long time. So pretty standard 4-3 is what they'll run on D. And he's been a kind of one of those up and coming, younger guys for a couple of years, though, that he's gotten a lot of publicity and definitely a star on the rise. So that'll be massive. And then JMU's best defensive back, DJ Barksdale, also transferred to you guys. So he'll be.
But they also had an edge rusher that I'm looking forward to also. I forget his name.
Sahir West, was it?
I believe so. Yeah, like double digits in sacks last year for them.
My list says 9, but yeah, probably is him if he had.
That's better than what we got.
Yeah.
So.
yeah. But both of their edge guys, and then their other edge guy it says he had 5 sacks. That was Aiden Gobera. He started at Notre Dame and then was at JMU last year. So
yeah. My concern for this coming year is okay. So it seems like we've gotten bigger guys in the O line, a lot of experience. Now with that being said, obviously I got to make sure Nico stays healthy. He doesn't get any more concussions, possibly, or hopefully not.
Yeah.
And then, because honestly, after him, who else we got? I don't know much about his younger brother because he hasn't really played it down yet.
2, though. Yeah.
Yeah, because on number 2 last year, he was scared like out of his mind because his first game was against Ohio State in Columbus, and I'm like, look at this guy, and then this guy, he wants to transfer to a Division 2 or 3 school after. It's like, well, that's probably better for you because he can't. He's not a good fit for us.
No, that Duncan, it was I think that was that guy's name. But with Nico's younger brother, I don't know if anybody knows much about him because he had initially signed at Arkansas, early enrolled there in the spring, but then transferred pretty early. So no one's really seen him play since high school. So I think it's very much a mixed bag and unknowns. And the MO is that he does throw the ball pretty well, but he's not the physical presence Nico is. I mean, he's 3 inches shorter, and Nico has a cannon and can throw the ball a mile. I don't think his arm is that strong, but very few people have an arm as strong as Nico. So,
especially for him being able to run.
Exactly.
But however, I want him to use his arm more and run less because some of those hits he was taking. I think the game he was put out. I think in the game, if I'm not mistaken, against Nebraska, where he was kind of falling backwards and he kind of took a shot to the back, not a helmet to helmet, but he was just kind of falling backwards because his body got twisted. And he took that hit.
Yeah, that I don't remember that one, but he. Oh, sorry. Oh, we're good. Can you still hear me, Terry?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but that Nebraska. The only thing I remember with that Nebraska game though was that it was a battle, but I didn't remember him getting hurt or anything. So, but you're right, keeping him healthy is paramount this year, and hopefully that O line with just some added size and strength up front can be big because we talked about the Boise guy, and then one of the guards followed that staff from JMU. Eastern Michigan had a pretty good tackle who came over. So, and it's not going to take much for that O-line to be better either, I don't think. So
no, I mean everything was. That was, like I said, most of our line last year, they either A, obviously weren't good, or B, the ones that were there, like the veteran leaders of the group, they got hurt too. Through the season. It's just like everything was getting depleted. So, of course, that happens with any team, unless they just really run deep in their debt. But unfortunately, with UCLA, that's not the luxury at this time.
No. There's probably only 8 to a dozen O-lines in the country that can do that and have little to no drop off. You just have to be on another level recruiting wise and NIL wise to be able to spend to keep those guys around.
Yeah.
So that's another question I did want to ask that I always do. At UCLA, what is the NIL support like? Are they doing all right there? Are they having trouble finding boosters? Is the school buying in? Just kind of anything related to the NIL. I always like to ask, and it's just because it's one of those I don't know a ton about from school to school.
Well, I think one of their big things is when the AD took over Jarman, I know he's left with kind of a mess. So it's hard to get boosters. We had some boosters, like Troy Aikman was a booster.
Okay.
And then, but he did something for one of the kids, and I guess he wasn't, grateful that.
Oh,
almost like it's almost like a, entitlement kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, Troy Aikman didn't, care for that too much. It's like, I'm probably not going to donate another dime to this school. I'm like, wow, he just.
Yeah.
And
that's a tough spot. And it's like one of those it's one of those you want to, like, from the alumni and Aikman's point of view, it's like, is that really causing you to give up on the school? But also if you're the kid and then the coaches, it's like, you got to go the extra mile to make these people feel involved still. So probably a little bit on both ends there.
Yeah. Then, I remember seeing an article, some guy had passed away and he left like 15 or 20 million of his money, and he put that towards the NIL. That was like in his, I guess, his will.
Nice. Okay.
It was like a former alumni or some from way back when, but I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
To be
That's
able to
massive.
That
yeah. Whenever you can get those, you're going to be funded pretty well for at least a few years.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's all good to know, because like I said, that like the other schools' NILs, it's tough to always know what everybody's operating and dealing with. So
especially with Texas Tech with that oil money.
Exactly. Yeah, we talked about that on the group show quite a bit. So you have some schools that just have what seems like unlimited resources at times. So, yeah, definitely not.
Okay, let me ask you this now. I know this is your show. You usually ask the questions, but this is something that just popped in my mind as a conversation.
Yeah.
A piece in one of the chats I'm a part of. Do you think there should be a cap for NIL for each sport? Like, this sport can only spend this much, not like overdo it, kind of like the 90s Yankees with Steinbrenner in charge during the 90s. Would you say that they should cap it off that way? Everyone's not hoarding, say, players. They won't necessarily start, and they eventually leads to transfer later. But
I would have to think about it and see the pros and cons. My initial response would be no. And I would say that from a standpoint of, I would side with the players and say I don't want to inhibit them from making money and cap the amounts that they can make if they're earning that and deserving that. But there certainly is something to be said for reining it in. And the way things are going, something has to be done. I don't know what it is. That's a really interesting thought to talk about, though, and one where I would have to think about it more, but that would probably be my initial guess or initial response.
Because, like, to me, like, it would prevent, you say, like, one team going almost like think about, like, in terms of baseball or football, everyone's got a cap now. They each got a max cap. And to me, my theory is, like, maybe it'll produce a better product because all these other schools that are, hey, this school's going to pay you the same amount as this school. The difference is you'll probably be starting here. So if you want to build up your, say, next NIL deal or your draft stock.
It certainly could promote parity. I think that would be a positive. And also it might, where it might make things better would be in high school recruiting. Because like you said, you'd be getting the same amount, but if you're going to play earlier, you might go to a school that may not be a playoff contender, but be a 5th or 6th place team in the conference. And if you ball out there, then maybe later on you can get a bigger deal, whether it be at your current school or somewhere else. So I think there certainly could be pros to it. Yeah, I never thought about that one. What do you think about the one that I was reading today, and it sounds like they might move forward with it, the 5 years to play 5. So we're eliminating redshirting. What are your thoughts on that?
So I won't say this coach's name.
Okay.
Because I actually talked to a coach about this, because Division I's voting on that, as well as in July, Division II will be voting on that as well. And if history told us anything, Division II will usually fall suit to Division I to keep everything kind of like the same. So from what this will have caught me off guard, like we didn't surprise, and he'll talk more about it. And this is from a coach's perspective, because he eventually wants to come on my show as well, that we'll talk about later. But he's saying the NCAA is really low on funds because of all the lawsuits and everything, all the stuff they've had to pay out and everything. There's also been a downsize in workforce for them.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm sure eventually it's going to come to light. So it's rather than dealing with another, let's say, lawsuit, because he's saying with Division I, you're on the time clock. So let's say if you go home for a year, you take a year off because you had, like, say, some personal matters or, God forbid, a death in the family. Mm-hmm. You need to go home, fix whatever needs to be fixed to make sure your family's good to go so you can go back. You still lose that year. So rather than the NCAA, I guess, now not wanting to pay no more lawsuits, understandably so.
Yeah.
Like, let's just give them 5 years right off the bat. Instead of 4, we'll just give them 5. But that's it. If you can't do what you need to do in 5 years, it's regardless. Because then I brought up a certain quarterback at Utah who it seemed like he was going to school forever, almost damn near a decade.
Cam Rising.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's who we're talking. Yes.
That's exactly who we're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, I think he was there 8 years. Yeah.
Now I know he had injuries. But I told him, is there going to be? I told him, do you fear that even with 5 years, there's still going to be some people to try to abuse that system to say maybe go longer because maybe all they want to do is boost their draft stock, which is understandable. But
it is.
You got to try to do that on the field though too. If you can't do it on the field, maybe football necessarily isn't the sport for you. So go with the education that you're recruited to go there for, that you wanted to go for. But so this particular coach said, yeah, I mean, there's always going to be, 1 or 2 that are maybe going to try to ruin it for the rest. And then before you know it, probably could go back to 4 years. But he honestly likes the idea as well, too. He likes the 5-year as well, because not just Division I, but it's also impacted Division II schools.
It is. With
some of their players that, really good player, have a lot of potential. And they weren't eligible because of, their time was up. So,
I'm overall, I think it's a good idea. I think the one caveat I might have some problem with would be the clock starts at 19. I think one group that really might get impacted by this is we're seeing most or a good number of the punters now are the Pro Kick Australia guys who are older. I'm wondering if it affects that group, because a lot of those guys, we're seeing them come over 25, 26, and I'll be curious, do we start recruiting those guys at a younger age, or do we get less of them coming over to punt now? Maybe it's a combination of both that happens, but it might impact that group negatively, but that's about the only group that I think it is negative for. It's probably beneficial for everybody else.
Well, I mean, there's also, I'm not sure how it is as far as like the overseas, NFL overseas thing. Like you got guys getting drafted in the draft out of Germany or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always an option too. I'm not sure how that would work.
That might. Yeah, I never thought about that. Because they do have the NFL academies now in Europe. Yeah. It's a good point.
Kind of like with the NBA, guys go overseas to play and they get drafted to the NBA because they weren't doing it in college.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, that's always an option now.
I also wonder.
As good as mine as far as the requirements for that.
Yeah.
But I don't see, if there's no school, they just want to play football, and if they're good enough, let them play over there overseas.
The other thing I wonder, could we see those Pro Kick Australia guys at like around that age? Could they sign with either a UFL or a CFL team? Then if they perform well, the NFL signs them then after that. And at that point, I'm not sure if you're subject to the draft or how that would kick in, but it would be curious if, you sign with one of those teams and then play and see what happens there.
In recent years, ever since they restarted the UFL, has there been anyone signed through the draft through that, or is it more like free agency?
Free agency, yes. Yeah. But in that case, though, those guys already went through college with their NFL draft class and went undrafted. Mm-hmm. If you were a foreign guy like this that was never subject to the draft, I don't know if that changes the requirements, and if you have to be draft eligible 1 year. I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. And I know some of them are probably prior NFL players too, whether it's practice squad guys.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of them are. Yeah,
it's a good chance for them to obviously showcase their talents that they weren't getting the attention on the NFL sidelines, and the NFL's like, whoa, this is what we've had the whole time. So, I mean, who knows?
Definitely. Yeah.
But I mean, any possible avenue to help someone, let's say, achieve their dream to make it to play Sundays I'm all for it.
Absolutely. And that was, kind of why I said the one thing I dislike about that potential rule would be negatively impacting those pro kick guys. But for American born raised players, it's to say that that's not at least a plan that streamlines rules more and everybody can get behind. Mm-hmm. So let's try to rein back a little bit to the Bruins for this coming year. So I slightly touched on the schedule, but going into this year, what are expectations for you? So I say this with a lot of new coaches, and especially a team that struggled like they have the last couple of years. I feel like, in looking at it from the outside in, making a bowl game would be a success in year one. Any more is gravy on top. And I actually think they're going to be pretty good this year and hit I saw one that had their win total projected at 5.5. And I like the over on that number. But for me, you win 6 games and go to a bowl game. That's a success in year one. What are your thoughts and expectations?
So for me, for this first year, I have 2 expectations.
Okay.
One is be bowl eligible. I'm not expecting like instant success like Signetti had going from JMU to Indiana and building that program. I mean, if it happens, I think the whole world would be shocked, and I'm going to be one of the happiest Bruins fans ever. However,
good. Yeah.
Be bowl eligible. I want to say, I was looking at their schedule. I said their ceiling was between 7, 8 games that they would win.
Yeah.
And obviously the low would be them not making it
I think there's 7 wins on that schedule, though. I said that to somebody else. I think there's 7, maybe even 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So be bowl eligible. Second, beat USC.
Okay.
They've had our number the past couple of years. Mm-hmm. It was like a competitive game this year. I think they were tied going into halftime, and then they just shut us down. No scoring in the second half, and they did all the scoring. So beat USC.
Out of your 2 expectations, I think the bowl eligible one does happen. I'm also pretty high on USC this year. I think they're going to be a pretty good team. So
Yeah.
that one might be tougher. But I do
But
think
we look at 2006. Look what happened. You know, any rivalry game it's always a special thing because it could be. Look at I think it was it 2013, 2012, 20 the big missed field goal kickoff or big missed field goal return for a touchdown, Auburn, Alabama.
Oh yeah, we talked about that on the group show, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like anything could happen.
Oh yeah.
I'm expecting. Yeah. I know USC also lost a lot during the draft. They lost a lot of their top guys.
They did. Yeah.
But I've also heard stuff.
They also signed the best recruiting class in the country too.
Yeah. Well, I've also heard that. I'm not sure how true it is, but some people say Lincoln Riley might be on a hot seat because even though they've been making bowl games,
yeah,
I don't think they've made the playoffs once.
I think if they win less than 7 games, I think that absolutely would be true. And because I think you're right, like the ho-hum status quo they've been doing, that's not good enough anymore. They want to be one of those playoff teams. And if they end up with only 6 or 7, I think it would be one of those where because of his bio, I don't think they fire him. I think it's hey, Lincoln, if you want to take another job, you don't need to pay us a buyout and we're not going to fire you. So feel free to look elsewhere. And I think the writing would be on the wall and both sides would agree to that. Yeah. Like for him, say they would have a bad year combined with a Florida State or in North Carolina having an open job, I could see him doing something like that. Or maybe going back to a Big 12 team that could give him a decent paycheck. Yeah. So who knows? Yeah. But that would be obviously in year 1, end of the regular season, that would be a massive win for Chesney in his first season. So talking, or I haven't, with my other guests, I haven't talked about the rest of the country too much because they're more focused. But with you covering a more broad group, in terms of playoffs and teams we expect, a lot from, are there any teams who you're pretty high on this year you think could make a good playoff run that teams might not expect?
Might not expect.
Or
I was going to give you 2 teams I expect to make a run.
Who are they? No, please tell me who they are.
So 2 teams I expect to make a run would be Texas and Georgia.
Okay. I expect both of them to be playoff teams. Yeah, I'm high on the Longhorns this year. That roster looks really talented. If they can get their O-line playing well, they're going to be really salty. Colin Simmons might be the best defensive player in the country.
As far as
and Georgia is, in fact, one of the guys I'm doing a record with tonight, he's a Georgia alumni and very high on Stockton in that crew. So, yeah. Another one, I do think Oregon is good. I think Oregon's going to be pretty good this year. I like Dante Moore. I mean, it's easy to say you like Dante Moore. He's a stud, but I really like him, and I think Oregon's going to be good this year.
Another reason why I hate Chip Kelly.
Okay.
He's the reason why we lost Dante Moore.
Maybe, yeah.
Chip wasn't giving him playing time. To me, okay, you're expecting this kid like instant success, but the starting quarterback you have at the time was not being very successful, and you're expecting this guy to turn it around in mid-season. Like you should have had him at the beginning of the season, like I was hoping for, because if I'm not mistaken, he was either the number 1 or number 2 quarterback in the nation. He had decommitted from Michigan.
Yep.
Or no, it was originally Oregon he decommitted from, and then he went to UCLA. Or is it Michigan that he committed to?
No, I thought it was Michigan. I thought that was right. Yeah. Was that that year when he was the freshman? I'm blanking. Was it Colin Schlee? I know he was on that roster, and they had a few QBs because Schlee had been at Kent State. Justin Martin was on that team.
I think it was Ethan Garbers.
Garbers was there. Okay.
Yeah.
And he'd been at Washington before.
He's a good backup quarterback. Garbers.
Yes.
You know, he didn't have the best arm. He could somehow extend a play once in a while, but
yeah.
I mean, you recruited the top quarterback in the class. To me, he should be starting unless you have an absolute stud, which we didn't. We have an absolute stud at quarterback. Then put him back up, let him develop. But to me, he was already better than this guy, and they was just kept going back and forth. So
Garbers was a lot like Schley in a sense that if they were going to be your every week starter, it would have been at a place like Nevada, San Jose State, Colorado State, not a power conference school. They just weren't that quality of guy.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah. So, but Oregon as a team, I think they're going to be pretty good. So after the Sorsby fallout and everything that happened there, do you think Texas Tech is still the favorite in the Big 12? I know I feel like I'm seeing probably 60 to 65% of the people still say yes, but I don't know, because I don't know if Hammond is going to be that great as a replacement.
I'd say no. I don't see them making the playoffs because this whole thing kind of just shook them to the core.
It did.
I would say. And then that was a great quarterback you lost. Now, this whole thing with gambling, I'm like, my thing is, okay, why even do it in the first place? But, there are rules. Like, I lived in Las Vegas. I was stationed in Las Vegas for 8 years. I never developed a gambling problem. I just go once in a while, play the blackjack tables, and that was it. Now, someone was coming from out of town to visit. Sure, I'll take them to go gamble. I'm not going to gamble. I'm just going to watch over them, make sure nobody steals their stuff. But
good, yeah.
It's I mean, I don't know. It's like I'm not in that situation because I never had that much money.
Yeah,
like that was given to them. So I mean, who knows? But it's just like the whole thing, like with Pete Rose. He was betting on his team, yes. However, there were still rules in place. I'm not sure if college is any different, or my answer for that is I don't have a complete answer, so to say. It's just I don't know if they wanted to do something like that and then gamble their stuff away. He ended up being in debt, if I'm not mistaken, right? He developed the debt.
Rose, you're talking about, or Sorsby?
Sorsby.
That I'm not sure about.
Because I think Rose he had to go to some kind of rehab thing, like a.
He gambler. Did. He did go to a
So I mean, I figured that only happens if you're losing and you're still trying to regain what you lost. But
see, I had kind of wondered if he did it for PR, so it would look better when he was appealing and try to still play. But I don't know. Yeah.
There's other ways to do it. If you want to look appealing, that's not the way to do it, in my opinion.
Maybe, yeah. But you see, it's what we do when someone has a drinking problem. You go away and get dried out. So maybe that's just what they thought. I don't know.
They should try that in Georgia.
Yeah. That's fair.
Hopefully that'll piss off some of your Bulldogs fans for that.
No, he'll be all right. They're good spirited. Yeah. I've been barked at by enough grown men at their games before. So yeah.
They can. It's funny you said spirited.
Yes, and I've been in enough Gamecock games to definitely see that. So it does happen, absolutely. But but Big 12, we were talking about Texas Tech there. Big 12 wise, I don't know who I would say the favorite is now. BYU, I think, is going to be good again. I also think Houston is going to be solid. Wigman's a pretty good QB, and when he was healthy, A&M, he was good. He just never stayed healthy. Willie Fritz is a heck of a coach, so I could see a team like Houston being near the top of that conference and making a run for it. And both the Arizona teams will be good too.
I could also see possibly Arizona State.
Yep. Both the Arizona teams I think will be good too. Yeah.
And Iowa State.
Yeah. I'll be curious with Iowa State with their new coaching staff because they lost almost that whole roster, followed Campbell to Penn State. But Rayner, their new QB, was a good QB at Arkansas State. So they're they're going to be a fun team to watch. I think I like that Iowa State one. That
would be my sleeper of the two, though.
Yeah, I like it.
If I had to pick an early favorite, it'd either be BYU or Arizona State.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would probably lean BYU, and then I'd probably go Houston number 2. So, yeah, that's and then in the ACC, it's tough not to say Miami. Mensa's a really good QB, and that roster looks tough. So, and I think Louisville will follow it again, but I don't know if they're going to be at Miami's level. But Jeff Brom's a good coach.
Now, I'm not saying they're going to compete for an conference title right away, but I think one to look out for would be Virginia Tech with Franklin there.
Yeah.
Especially all the guys he took from Penn State.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they'll improve, and then year 2, 3, we certainly will see them being in the mix for conference titles there. Year 1, I don't know how much or how close
I see them being bowl eligible for year 1.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, definitely.
One team I think that's going to drop that was good last year would be Virginia.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
their schedule was so easy last. Like they were one of those, like looking at the preseason schedule, you knew they were going to hit the preseason win total because their schedule was so easy. This year, I think they come back to life a little bit. QB wise, they'll be okay. You know, Pribula transferred from Mizzou and then Holstein from Pitt. I think Pribula will win the job, but yeah, I think they come back to life a little bit. I always ask this 2 questions to wind down. In the Big Ten, you know, the conference we were talking about, which coach do you think is on the hottest seat? Mike Loxley from Maryland is the one who I say for the Big Ten, but certainly not the only.
Is Schiano still at Rutgers?
He is, yeah.
I don't know why he's still working there. I'd put him on the
Maybe they know they can't do any better. I mean, he did good there the first time. They've just struggled since he's been back there. But I also think just going to a bowl game is good enough for them. They don't expect more.
And that's a shame.
Yeah.
For being the first university to ever play in a college football game.
Yeah.
All I say is because my NFL team's Tampa Bay, and I hated Schiano in Tampa Bay. Yeah. And just the way he treated the Hall of Famers from the organization. They would come to the thing to, I guess, unannounced. Okay. But, I mean, are you really going to turn away Derek Brooks or Warren Sapp if they're coming over to see the team?
I didn't know that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was one of the big things there. He was a cancer to the Buccaneers.
Okay.
So I do not like him at all.
Okay. Certainly a better college coach than he was in the NFL, but I just don't know what their expectations are there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But let's talk a little bit, Terry. You're launching a new show coming up soon. So tell the audience about that. You know, I want to know more.
So the show is going to be airing. You're not going to find its own page. It's going to be streaming through the Villains Media Network. Yeah. The show itself will be called Terrible Talk Sports.
Okay.
And it's going to be like an open-end discussion. No, say really set themes. Like starting out, I'm not really going to have a set theme. My goal is to get as many interviews as I can.
Nice.
Kind of like what we're doing here. I've already got 3. I got 3 for sure, and then 2 possible. So like we're kind of filled up till possibly late July. And
good.
So like I said, open-end sports discussion. I also want to implement more, say, MMA and boxing, as well as WWE wrestling for all the wrestling fans out there. So I'm hoping for that, as we discussed before, a certain mayor from Knox County.
Oh, that'll be great.
Agrees to my submission. But I've already got one big guest lined up, and it was confirmed over the phone. I talked to him, and that is July 8th. Now, show starts tomorrow. That'll be the pilot episode.
Yeah.
And tomorrow's guest, he's not going to be well known. However, his role with sports is important. Just give you a little skinny on him is, retired military, now working as kind of like a mentor and coach to help, say student athletes from high school transition, helping with their strength and conditioning, transition from the high school level to the college level, which, he'll go more in detail tomorrow.
Good.
And
so
this show will be airing
back
Wednesday.
it up.
What's that?
So let me back it up for a second, Terry. Is that tomorrow or that's the July 8th one?
No, the July 8th, I'll announce that one. Tomorrow is that guy.
Gotcha. Okay. I was confused which was which. Yep.
Yeah. So tomorrow it's going to be airing, it's pretty much across all the major social media platforms. It's called Terrible Talk Sports, but it's going to be through the Villains Media Network.
Perfect.
It took him a while to talk me into it because currently I co-host the Golden Broom Pod, which deals primarily collegiate sports and excuse me.
Tough.
Like right now we're tailing.
Yeah. Kind of I don't want to get too off topic, but kind of a lackluster end of the season for the Bruins there in baseball.
Yeah, I was heavily disappointed. I was definitely the laughing stock for a while. I don't know.
I thought going into the playoffs, I thought they were going to have a chance to win it all. They were looking good.
I mean, I picked them because they were showing real good, and then like towards the end, they just ran out of gas even before the road to Omaha started. So I mean, I was highly disappointed, obviously. But yeah, so like right now we're wrapping up our interviews with baseball coaches, and we're starting to. We've already got one or two possible football coaches for the Golden Broom. But
awesome.
For my show, my second guest is actually going to be an MMA guy, which I'll announce later.
Okay.
Or like I know him personally because he was actually my old jiu-jitsu coach in Las Vegas.
Oh, very cool.
He's a very good personal friend. He helped me through some, dark times of my life.
Yeah.
So I owed a lot to him. But that's July 8th, and this is the biggest first guest, and I'm ecstatic because this person is my favorite college football coach of all time, just because of the loyalty he's had to the place he's currently coaching at, and that would be Troy Calhoun from Air Force Academy.
Oh, that'll be great. Yeah, Calhoun will be a great guest. That's awesome. So
I've always had a soft spot for, especially the Air Force Academy, for me being an Air Force veteran myself. Cool. And I would always get tickets. They usually gave us free tickets whenever they would come visit UNLV when I was stationed out there. So, and UNLV at Sam Boyd Stadium, honestly, there isn't a bad seat in that stadium because it's not very big, like high. But obviously, now they're playing the Legion.
Yep.
Which is good for them because Vegas is still hot. Even October, November is still pretty hot over there.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I'm looking forward to this opportunity. I'm thankful for it. So thank you, Andrew. I also like to thank Brandon. He's like kind of helping with the visuals and stuff and graphics, and Cameron, who's helped with the music that you'll hear for the intro and outro.
Yeah.
And my co-host of Golden Broom, Chris, which I'm still going to do Golden Broom like right now.
Yeah.
Until, see what happens. But I'm also thankful for him because he, gave me the opportunity when I first got a recruit lined up. Before I wasn't even offered anything. I just wanted to line up an interview for them. So they asked, like, well, you want to be a guest host? I'm like, sure, why not?
Well, that's cool.
Because I brought in the interview for them. And then next thing you know, I just started to get the chain of interviews going.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Looking forward
I'll
to
look forward to watching hopefully it goes off without a hitch and you get all those guests lined up, and sounds like there's some big names. It'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and there's, like I said, if you once you guys go look at the Villian Media Network, it's not just gonna be my show. As I mentioned, you got the Golden Broom. There's a football show that deals with college and pro strictly. It's called Football Frame of Mind. There's other we have a strictly Iowa Hawkeye show that actually pulls in a good crowd too. There's one.
Good.
As I said, you gotta look at the channel on YouTube, Villains Media Network, to see all the different shows, see what's your, I guess, cup of tea. But it's like a little bit of everything. There's even, as I mentioned before we started this interview, we have a Thursday night show where we talk about, say, favorite video games, movies, like not sports related.
Yeah.
But it's still a good, kind of change of pace. And it's one of our more successful shows. So I'm hoping I can continue that trend.
Oh, I'm sure you will. Yeah, it sounds like you got a great idea going. So I appreciate that. But yeah, we've reached our conclusion though here. But Terry, just wanted to say thank you for being here. I really appreciated talking Bruins football and about the new show you have coming up. And for all of our listeners out there, I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely.